go down the road of free energy, and also the notion of, in essence, what are wormholes and portals. Did you decide not to go in that direction, or have I not gotten to a part of the book, or does that come later, or what were your thoughts along those lines?
A chap recently wrote to me and said, Andy, you really need to check out the electric universe, because you don't write anything about it, and it's a huge idea, and you seem to be ignoring it completely. And I've had various other people who've written to me the same line. And I accept that there is the potential within the electric universe for a great area of science that has been not explored properly, and that we are incredibly ignorant about certain things. But it's very similar to the problem that I was just discussing, which is that if I'm trying to maintain some kind of validity to the idea that there could be a physical reality to this Nibiru and the dark star, and that it could work, that the Sitchin's idea could really work, and that there could well be aliens living on the sort of edge of our solar system, that I needed to keep that idea wrapped up in normal science. Because if I start to say, okay, well, there's that idea, and I think that's scientifically valid, but hey, I'm actually also going to pull in electric universe, or I'm also going to pull in wormholes or time travel or whatever, then I would be diluting the potential for scientific validity for that core idea. Do you understand where I'm coming from with that? I know it sounds a bit weak.
So you're actually saying that you're treading a line, which is in essence you're just walking a balance, and that you decided to sort of weigh your story for the time being on the side of what is consensus reality science to some degree at least.
Yeah. So the idea is that the Anunnaki, in terms of their space travel and so on, face the same problems that we face. Now, I do take that out a little bit, because I introduce in this new book the Igigi and the idea sort of remotely of the Syrian involvement, and I start to talk about new technology from the point of view of the Igigi, and I don't think you've reached that point in the book yet, but where they're actually the UFO guys, they're zipping around in UFOs. So I do bring that in, but I think the core of what you're asking me is why do I make it so that this spaceship takes 15 years to get to this world, with all of the problems that are involved, which, I've put a lot of thought into and described, and, the incredible problems that they face with this 15-year journey, when you could just very quickly just say, oh, well, actual fact, buried below the Pentagon is a secret room that's got this, portal that people walk into, and they, stand on the surface of Mars and so on. And I'm not negating that there is a possibility that might be the case, and I'm open-minded to the possibility that those kind of things might arise. I just wanted to try and keep the whole thing in a very sort of, black and white scientific sort of way, because actually, in a way, it makes it more interesting, because how on earth do humans manage a 15-year space flight in zero gravity with all the problems that arise with it? And today there was news, and you may have caught this, I don't know, about these 6 guys in I think in Moscow, who've gone into this warehouse where they built a mock-up spacecraft in this warehouse, and they're going to be shut away for 18 months to simulate.
No, I haven't heard about that, but what I have heard about, and actually had posited a screenplay based on it, it was called The Lost Cave Story, and it basically was about these experiments that the Italians were very instrumental in, which was to go, to put, in essence, like a capsule underground, and to have individuals and even whole groups, as it to be. In other words, go in there and live and not be able to have contact with the surface other than through, electronic means or whatever. Well, in essence, pretending that they are going into space. And that was the idea, to see what that was. Now, that was the surface idea. Now, there could also be other notions behind that, which is, these experiments can also reveal what it's like to live underground for a period of years. If you believe there's going to be a solar CME that makes, or some kind of war that makes the surface of the earth uninhabitable for a number of years, you also have to deal with these same issues.
Yeah. Well, I think your idea has effectively come true today. These guys are going to be locked away for 18 months, and the only thing that they've got is email, I think, and each other's feet to smell for all that time, which is pretty grim, I think. And there are huge physical problems with that. I mean, obviously they've still got gravity, but there's huge physical problems with traveling through space and living within a recycled environment and living on top of each other for all that time, and all the psychological impact that goes with that. And the fact, as you say, that we are naturally a fairly rebellious species as well. We're somewhat domesticated, but we have this ability to be quite rebellious as well. So those are all issues I was quite interested in exploring. And you knocked the nail on the head there. The Russians have obviously decided that they are going to put this together and see how these guys fare for 18 months. And I suspect that there will be lots and lots of issues that come out of that they would never have anticipated, and a lot of conflict that they would never have anticipated as well.
Well, I mean, there is a television series also called Starship Enterprise, Starship Universe, which is talking about, basically a sort of Starship Enterprise type ship that is out there going between universes, in essence, and they are lost on their way back to Earth, but are taking years and years and years to get back, if at all possible. Anyway, that notion is you still have the same problems. In other words, you have a group of people that are attempting to live together in a finite area under certain conditions in which they don't have any relief, or they can't get away from each other, in essence, other than, maybe small rooms or walls or walking around that way. But it also is a metaphor for Earth, because obviously we are all having that same issue, even though we're, in a planet and we are other countries. You can travel from one to the other, but nonetheless, we're all inhabiting the same Earth, and we have to deal with that, and all the problems therein. But at the moment, we have about 15 minutes left, and what I'd like to do is open it up for questions. I'm hoping that we can bring in some questions from the audience that is listening. We have a chat room associated with this radio show where people can type their questions, and then also I have there is the ability for people to put their questions to the technician, Hans, and then he relays them to me, and then I can ask them out loud for you. We don't have the call-in feature here, but we do have this ability to get text questions, and I'm sure there are a lot of them out there. There is one here that one person did ask before the break that I never was able to address, and what they're asking, if you have, what is your big vision of the big picture of what is going on planet Earth right now? And then it goes on with several corollary questions. Are we being controlled by the Anunnaki? Is free will still working? Are there comets coming our way?
Well, that's a huge, huge question. I think your previous point is a very, very interesting one about there being a metaphor for the fact that we're all stuck here on this one planet and we'll have to get on and everything. I think that there is an adjustment to the realization of that perhaps is causing a sort of paradigm shift of awareness within the human race. And it's occurring over quite a short period of time, really, where the territorial nature of our interests has been predominant, really, throughout our history. We've reached the point where globalization has created a situation where the territorial integrity is really just sort of just part of the fabric of the world now, apart from a few hotspots. And the challenge for us actually is that we can't expand anymore, we can't explore anymore, we can't fight over territory in the same way that we used to. The finite resources are dwindling, we're expanding, that equation is not going to work. And there is a realization, a gradual dawning amongst the population that we have to adjust to that. And that's the biggest challenge that we face, I think. It's not just a case of saying, oh, it's global warming,